Chapter 12. Investigation. The black-gloved hand slid over the surface of the crudely made spear. Detective Zweiler pulled his hand black and rubbed his fingers together, examining them. The scene was bizarre enough. A police cruiser downed on an inhospitable planet, but the primitive weaponry elevated the bizarrity of it. The spear was made simply from rock, and as best Zweiler could tell, that was it. There were no markings or etchings of a tool, but rather it appeared as though the thing had been made by simply smashing one rock into another until the shape was produced. Such craftsmanship would require foreknowledge of the exact angles at which to use one rock upon another that even the most ingenious of humans would not be able to replicate. The black shaft jutted from the police captain's chest, and the whole interior of the cockpit was smeared with dried and congealed blood. Zweiler shook his head. "Any ideas?" asked Jolly, his partner. Zweiler shrugged. "It's fucking weird." "Could be aliens," Jolly suggested. "No such thing as aliens. Every creature is a native of their own planet." Jolly grunted. "You know what I meant." "On Terra 9? Come on. There's no source of food here in any capacity. Definitely no life forms." "No documented life forms." Zweiler scoffed. "Humans have spread all over the universe at this point. If there were aliens, we'd have found them. Especially on a flat shithole like this." Zweiler's communicator beeped at them from his collar device. "Zweiler? Jolly? This is Officer Herring. I'm at Crash Site Bravo. Over." "Read you loud and clear, officer," responded Zweiler. "Anything I should know about? Over." "Anything of interest here, I can't see it. Looks like they took a hard shell in the upper atmosphere. Pilot is mostly just a charred husk. Ship crashed and nobody messed with it after that. Over." "How many dead?" Over. "1. Over." "Ship manifest said they were carrying 2. Jolly muttered. Zweiler shrugged. "Hear you loud and clear. We'll head to Crash Site Charlie. Over and out." The two made their way out to the small two-man craft which sat on an overlooking hill. They climbed in the cockpit and flipped a few switches. The engines switched over from a low idle to high, and the craft rose into the air. The rocky plains guided beneath them, rolling along like thick black smoke. The red football-shaped craft loomed in the distance. Small poles with yellow lights formed a perimeter around it. The small craft descended and rested on its landing gear just outside the barrier. The two detectives clambered out and strode onto the site. As they approached, they saw a corpse laying face down on its way away from the ship. Blood pooled around the corpse, still as marble and gleaming. Next to the body was a spilled container of oil, the dark fluid pooling with the blood and creating a velvet and black spiral next to the victim's blonde-haired head. The police officers milled about, snapping pictures and collecting samples. "Something about all this makes me uneasy," said Jolly softly. Zweiler wasn't really paying attention. He was looking at something in the distance, a disturbance amongst the rocks. Go on inside the ship. I'm gonna walk around the hull, said Zweiler. Jolly just nodded and walked towards the ship. Zweiler began his stride off into the hills. His ankle bent and turned on various rocks and cracks as he clambered over steep faces in between the walls of gullies. He paused briefly, seeing a yellowish liquid staining the ground. A gray finger much larger than any human finger, with 5 knuckles, lay curled on the rocky ground. Zweiler's heart began to pound into his throat. He looked around his surroundings, feeling suddenly watched as though he were somewhere he ought not be. He slowly scanned the jutting rocky hills to his right. Nestled in a crack on the hill, a fragment of a human skull, with its eye still attached, watched him. Zweiler shuddered and kept moving. As he traversed the rocky terrain, he saw bits and pieces of metallic fragments. He felt uneasy as the disturbance he'd found now came into view. A destroyed and crumpled escape pod sat before him. Shattered pieces and scraps of charred metal littered the ground like confetti. The tube was crushed against the rocks like a beer can to a forehead. But none of this was what was truly odd. His eyes fixated on the bizarrely long limbs stretched out from under the craft, charred and blackened beyond recognition. The tentacles were twisted, contorted, and knotted, their scorched forms forever laid out. Zweiler began to chuckle. Slowly his chuckle became harsher and harsher until he was in hysterics. He laughed and laughed at the fate of the idiot god who had thought himself fit to rule the universe. As he laughed, he became nothing but a grin amidst the blackened backdrop of Terra 9. Knowledge flooded his mind with every chuckle. A cosmic smile painted onto a planetary canvas to mock a god. Somewhere in days long past, something stirred within an artist's mind. Long, spindly artisan fingers, perturbed by something they knew not, began their work without another thought. It was the job of the artist to seize such a moment, to grab the muse while she was near, to grab hold without hesitation. Dipping a brush ever so slightly into a pool of paint, the hairs collected microscopic traces of paint on them. Over the next several months, something spread across the canvas. Something wicked, something evil, something comically wrong, something utterly chaotic, something which, no matter how many times he looked at it, always turned out slightly different. In spite of everything wrong with the piece, Giavault laughed. And the universe laughed back. This has been Void Wolves, written by Warren Walker and read by Warren Walker. Music by White Bat Audio or Carl Casey. Wow, so that's the last episode. I'm once again just neglecting a script for the outro here. Yeah, I apologize for the hiatus on these. It was a combination of a changing of schedule and more my own procrastination than anything. I'd say 80% procrastination, and probably 20% schedule. Maybe more like 15 schedule, and then 5% I had some internet problems in there. But yeah, I mean that's it. So thank you for making it to the end of this series with me. I think I'm gonna be radio silent for a while. Now that this one's done, given that the lesson I've taken away from this is that I need to have, with Void Wolves I went in and I think I had like the first 6 episodes completed and ripped, roaring, ready to go. And with this one, with this next series anyways, I'm going to have the whole series ripped, roaring, ready to go before I even start it. So, do be looking forward to that though. I'm going through the 3rd draft of it. And then, from there, I might do another draft, or I might just jump right into recording. I can't see too much changing with it from where it's at, but we'll see. So, the next series, I've already decided on the name for it. It will be called Dixie Teeth. And it will be a 12, I believe. Yes, 12 episode Western horror short story anthology. So, in the meantime, there's a very good chance I'll be doing another Guided Quiet Time, but no promises there. Once again, this has been Void Wolves, written by Warren Walker and read by Warren Walker. And thank you so much for making it to the end of this with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Any feedback you have, feel free to DM it to me on your social media of choice, or leave it in the comments here. It helps boost the algorithm. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this in the future, hopefully in a more timely fashion. Good night, and God bless.